In a new interview, Joe Biden says that he would do exactly what President Trump has done in battling coronavirus. A school in Texas is under fire for comparing police officers to the KKK. Plus, we'll hear from our special guest, Dean Cain. All that and more. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a Saturday live stream.
And God bless the United States of America.
All right, friends, thanks for tuning in today. I appreciate you guys spending your weekend over here. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for joining us. We got a lot to cover. We're going to start with Joe Biden because, as you know, he was the talk of the town last week with the Democrats having their convention. All we heard was Biden and Harris all week long. And now, starting on Monday, the Republicans get their chance. The Republicans get their chance to speak out. But before Joe Biden heads off to his basement, the media is trying to milk it just a little bit more. He's got a big interview supposed to come out tomorrow on ABC. They've leaked out some reports on it. And when you look at what Joe Biden says, you can see the dishonesty in the Democrats. You can see exactly that their policies, their platform, it's so hollow. Here's a report from the Washington Times. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden says he would do whatever was needed to keep the country safe amid the coronavirus pandemic, even if that meant shutting down the country. Biden made the comment in an interview with ABC that airs Sunday night, but clips were provided on Friday. So Joe Biden says he'll do whatever it takes to combat coronavirus, even though President Trump was doing that from the beginning. Every step of the way, he was doing what it took to combat the disease, to combat COVID-19. But Joe Biden says that his plan is somehow different. Here's more from the Washington Times. Biden says, I will be prepared to do whatever it takes to save lives because we cannot get the country moving until we control the virus. He adds that if scientists recommended shutting down the country, I would shut it down. Wow, folks. Here's the deal, all right? We had this economy that was just roaring along. So do you think President Trump wanted to put 40 million people out of work to have the unemployment skyrocket? We had record low unemployment. We had GDP that was growing, stocks that were growing. Everything was heading in the right direction. I know it's hard, but can you think back to February, January, even March? Think back to how you felt, how things were going. Do you think President Trump wanted to shut all of that down? No. He listened to the experts. You remember the briefings, the CDC, Dr. Fauci, Dr. Birx, all of them said, this is what we need to do. So they put out recommendations and the states shut the economy down. Now, any regular watcher of this show knows that I was opposed to that kind of process from the very beginning. You can't shut down people, call people unessential in a free country. There's pros and cons to freedom. One of the things is that you can recommend, you can advise, you can instruct, but then people have to do what people do. This is America. Sweden didn't shut down. They didn't have lockdowns. Now their death rate's down to 0. So Biden, though, says that he would shut things down. That's what President Trump did, and they criticize him for it. And it just shows, again, the hollowness of what is going on with the Democrats. Anything that President Trump does, any step he takes, they take the opposite. Remember when he shut down travel? Nancy Pelosi was out in San Francisco saying, hey, come on out to San Francisco. Come on out to Chinatown. It's great. It's no big deal. Give me a break, folks. Everything that Joe Biden says, President Trump has done. His plan is nothing except what President Trump has already done, yet the media pitch it as something new. So next, I want to talk about what's going on with education and the police, because kids are going back to school. We had a segment on Friday talking about what's going on colleges and universities. Here's an example at a middle school. And I bring these things up because we need to focus on what's going on in education, because we forget about it as kids were at home, as they were chilling out, getting classes on Zoom or not having classes at all, that there's so much of a left-wing influence that they are trying to indoctrinate rather than educate. And the question that should come to mind, what you should think about is, why is that? Why focus on the kids? Why indoctrinate them with these left-wing policies? And that is because the left wing is all about control. The left Marxist ideology is all about control. So if you can tear down authority figures, symbols that bring us together, like faith, family, love of country, respect for law enforcement, If you can tear those things down, there is only one thing that remains, and that is government. And here's the story of what's going on. An assignment given to students at a Texas school includes a political cartoon comparing police officers to slave owners and KKK members, the Fort Worth Star-Telegram reported. The cartoon reportedly depicted 5 scenes, allegedly starting with a slave ship officer who was kneeling on a black man's neck and ending with a police officer kneeling on a black man's neck, with text saying, "I can't breathe," the Star Tribune reported. The assignment was reportedly given to social studies students at Cooper Junior High within the Wiley School District, north of Dallas. So, can you believe this? Now, the Fraternal Order of Cops went ballistic. Fraternal Order of Police, they just went nuts on this because it's absolutely outrageous. They put out a tweet with words from their vice president, and I'll put this up on the screen. Check this out. Joe Gamaldi, he's the vice president of the Fraternal Order of Police, blasted Wiley ISD superintendent for pushing disturbing material. I cannot begin to tell you how abhorrent and disturbing this comparison is, but what is more disturbing is that no adult within your school thought better before sending this assignment to children. So, according to the school district, this assignment, that cartoon, which you saw in its entirety on the tweet, was part of a political satire lesson as they're teaching the Bill of Rights. They called that political satire, and it's absolutely outrageous. That statement from the Fraternal Order of Police is right on point. I mean, if you teach, you have to teach respect. Respect for parents, respect for authority. Otherwise, what you're going to get is the people that were living in Chaz, the people that are showing up to Portland. It's absolutely outrageous, folks, but this is what's going on in my home state of Texas, which means we all have to be on guard. You know, my kids now, my youngest one is a freshman in college. My daughter has graduated. So I can thankfully say I'm kind of done. But this matters so much. And for those of you who still have kids in school, it's so important to be on guard, be vigilant, and see what's actually going on, even if you live in a so-called red state, because the leftists are everywhere and they want to push this agenda. So next, I want to get to our special guest, folks, because I've talked to this guy. He's a lot of fun. But first, if you're new to the show, or if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. We're making our push for 100,000 subscribers by Election Day, 100K by Election Day, and we could do it with your help. So I want to bring on Dean Cain, actor, filmmaker, law enforcement officer. Dean, thanks so much for joining us today.
I appreciate it, Bobby. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. Okay, so
pretty much
I want to talk
everything
about
you've said so far, except for your shirt.
Okay, well, we'll get into that. I had to psych myself up. Whenever, as an athlete, you have to get psyched for battle. So we're going to discuss things. We're going to be civil, but when it comes down to the battle, I'll be ready. But I wanted to talk to you. We were talking the other day. You just got back from Virginia. Let people know what was going on there and how some of this talk influences your perceptions and your activities as a law enforcement officer.
Well, I was in Frederick County, Virginia, where I was sworn in as a sheriff's deputy. I'm now a sworn reserve police officer in Pocatello, Idaho, and in Frederick County, Virginia. And I do this because I fully and completely back the blue. If you don't have the rule of law and officers to enforce that law, you don't have anything as a society. So all of this anti-police rhetoric, all of this talk about demonizing police officers is madness to me. Yeah, there's been some incidents. Yes, there could be some changes in training. I think more money should be poured into the police departments. These people don't get paid very well at all, and they do pretty much the most difficult and most dangerous job on the planet. And it breaks my heart to see my fellow officers being set up like this, and it comes from the politicians. I mean, if you talk to most people, they'll find that they want more police in their neighborhood. I mean, look at Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot. I will protect my family at all costs. You could, everybody. My house is protected. You can't protest on my street, but go ahead and do it everywhere else. There is a tepid. I wouldn't say they're agreement, but they're allowing this to happen. The mayor of Portland is allowing this sort of chaos and madness to happen on the streets. It's killing morale within so many police departments. Fortunately, in Pocatello, we have a great relationship with the community. Chief Roger Shai is fantastic. He bases everything on the nine Sir Roger. Oh, I can't even remember his name right now. His nine pillars of policing, and it's really Roger Peel, and it's fantastic. And when they were having marches about the Black Lives Matter and these things at the beginning, immediately the Pocatello had a march too, but it was a unity march with the local college, with Idaho State University. And it was organized by the students at Idaho State, and they marched together and they spoke together about how to better police their own communities. And I think it's that's the message I want to hear.
Right.
Not defund the police, not victimize the police, not turn them into these things like that. Like, I can't believe what took place in that Texas school.
Yeah.
I'm a single father. My son's a sophomore in college.
Mm-hmm.
I saw every assignment that came home. If that had come home to my household, there would have been fireworks.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. And I want to ask you about this morale, because I, like you, it's just, I back the blue 100%. And I see that the sentiment out there, the media does a really good job of portraying police in a bad light. My uncle was a Chicago cop from the time he was, graduated high school to the time he retired. His son, my cousin, is a Chicago cop. He's now a detective. And he tells me all of this stuff, all of these stories, the morale. You see people filing for early retirement, changing jobs. How do we keep our law enforcement units strong when they're facing so much of this negative, this pressure?
It's a really tough thing, but it starts at the top. In New York City, for example, there was an officer this morning an NYPD officer explaining the situation like this. I'm going to quote him. He says, the term for the NYPD that is going around in every command in this city is the job is dead. You would be crazy to take this job at this day and age. And it's a nightmare, but it starts at the top. So in New York City, number one, get rid of Mayor de Blasio. Bing, gone.
Absolutely.
I don't know a single NYPD officer that has ever said anything positive about him. And so when you're doing that, when you're vilifying the police and the morale is gone, you're going to lose the police. When you lose the police, you've lost it all.
Right.
And in Portland, like if I was serving in Portland, I'd resign. Those poor officers, every tool in their arsenal is removed from them. They have no ability to de-escalate anything. They can't control anything. They have to sit there and just be victims. And that's just a horrible place to be. They take that disrespect and that stuff because you're a, quote, public servant. Yes, you're a public servant, but you're still a human being and you have some self-dignity. And these people, listen, if those police officers didn't have their badge on and were, in the middle of an alley somewhere, and those things were said to them, they might react a little differently. Right. Even though they're public servants, they're still Americans.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that the Democrats see the police as an entity, as a unit, as political fodder. They throw it out because they know it fires up this left-wing base. And I really hope that what we see, because there's being a clear delineation we're seeing in this election. I thought for sure, if you would have asked me back in March, friends were asking me, hey, how do you think President Trump's going to do? And I was telling them, it doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. If the economy is roaring along, you get reelected. That's just the way it is. Here,
it's the economy,
all of this, we've got all this crazy stuff. But one of the things we're seeing is law and order versus chaos. And I'm really hoping that the American public catches on. And maybe that's what's happening. I believe it was the Seattle mayor. The Seattle mayor came out and just said, hey, we're not going to go for this defund the police. And that's because of public pressure. Do you see the public rallying to the side of law enforcement?
Look, we got 70 days or something before the election. A lot of things are going to change in that period of time. And I hope and pray there will be a rallying around law enforcement, because the alternative is absolute chaos, vigilantism, bullying, and madness. Who wants that? It's almost to the point where I think they're going to start hearing a new narrative. All of this chaos and everything on the streets was sown by Republicans so that they could push this law and order thing. I mean, that's the madness of stuff that's going on. Even though we just saw all of this happen, we just had it happen, they'll just say it and say it and say it and act like it's true. And that's incredibly dangerous. I think it's a really clear choice election. I think it does come down to chaos versus law and order without a doubt. But they're going to throw try every trick in the book. I mean, this morning, what did I see? Something about all sorts of former GOP, intelligence officials and folks, and in the Wall Street Journal, all signing a thing against President Trump. And I said, every swampy name that I see here is just an endorsement of our current president. I don't like career politicians or the swampy guys that have been there forever. Joe Biden's been there for 47 years. 50 years he's been there. And now he's going to suddenly transform everything and change everything. It's like, what are you thinking?
Right. And you know what, Dean? I had the exact same reaction when I saw that story. The story about basically what was the deep state. All these so-called Republicans. I mean, it's not Republicans. I mean, if you stay in Washington that long, you become left-wing. It just, there's no doubt about it. So when you
become establishment.
Yes, you become the establishment. And so all of this list, it's like, man, I wish that list was twice as long or 3 times as long because This is why President Trump has faced so much pressure, because they knew even before he was elected that he wasn't going to play ball that way. He was going to clean house. And that's really what I love about the business approach. During the primary, my 2 favorite guys from when we started with 17 were Ted Cruz, because I align with him, philosophically, and President Trump. And I think what it was with President Trump was blue collar background, telling it like it is, and willing to take on the media and the swampiness. I mean, we don't want to elect people that just go there and play the same game. And I think that's what President Trump, where his big appeal is, and why he won big in the Midwest, is telling it like it is.
Well, and if it was big in 2016, I think here in 2020 it's going to be bigger. I predict a landslide victory for the president. I want that to be the case. Maybe I'm predicting it because I'm biased, but the alternative scares the living daylights out of me. I don't want to raise my taxes. I don't want to defund the police. I don't want to lose our energy independence. There's a million things. I don't want the Green New Deal. There's just so many things that just make you go, are you insane? I don't want Beto O'Rourke coming for my guns. Beto O'Rourke is your gun czar? I mean, who's your Secretary of State? Who's it going to be? Bernie Sanders? I mean, that's terrifying. It's terrifying. And these are the people that he's going to put in.
Yeah, this is his team. I mean, he's taking advice from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders and gun czar of Beto. It's just, oh my gosh, it's nuts. And I hope that's what the president focuses on. Partly, there's a lot of good messages that I think could come out from the Republican National Convention that we're about to start on Monday. And a lot of those messages are, look what you'll get. Forget, coronavirus and all these riots, which the Democrats are just ginning up. They want the chaos. They want the control. Oh, yeah. They want the lockdowns, people to feel bad. But if President Trump can get out there and say, look, these guys, here's what they want. They want a Green New Deal you. They want chaos and anarchy. That is really a winning message going into this home stretch.
Well, I think there's so much of the Democratic National Convention was gloom and doom and downer that I'm hoping that the Republicans go for a very positive spin, a unifying spin, and then a discussion about what actually has been done. I mean, you look at the economy pre-COVID, we were smoking, and And all of this is the weird thing is, it's like all of this that was accomplished under President Trump before pre-COVID was done against overwhelming opposition. These same people who, signed that Wall Street Journal letter. He was impeached for a normal phone call. He was the Russian collusion thing. I mean, he's been a salmon swimming upriver the entire time, and he has taken so much flack and yet still got so much done. I can only imagine what he could get done if he had a House and the Senate now, having been in office for 4 years. If we get and I would say I'm an independent, but I'm so Republican on this one, it's not even funny. If the Republicans take the House and hold on to the Senate, hold on to your horses. America will be ripping into 2024.
Yeah, I have no doubt the economy is going to be awesome. And the thing is, people need to realize is that President Trump had to kind of go this alone. When he got elected, I think even the Republicans, establishment Republicans, thought Hillary Clinton was going to win. So he faced opposition. All of the promises that he could fulfill on his own, he has. But when he had to leave it to the House on Obamacare and immigration, then they're like, wait a second, this guy wants to kind of drain. He really does want to drain the swamp. It's not a talking point. It's just nuts. But all right, so that's politics. I want to talk about Hollywood a little bit. Your background.
Oh, do we have to?
No, we got to, because I mean, they're all excited, and I wanted to ask you about. You've got a lot of projects you're working on, and your show that you have, I think it's on CW. I gotta be careful how I ask you about this because I want to get some background. But from previous discussions, I already think that you think I'm more of a nerd than I am. So the last thing I want to do is like say how into magic I am. So I'm gonna be a professional, and I'm just gonna say, what's it like?
Yeah, but you've already given yourself away.
So no, all right. So no. So how is it? How's that hosting Masters of Illusion? It's like 7 seasons now.
Yep.
What's that like? And have you learned anything? Have you seen any tricks?
Well, I was never a big magic guy growing up, and that wasn't my thing. But I've always loved someone doing close-up magic right in front of me. I love that they do that, and it blows me away. So I enjoy it just like anybody enjoys it, and I watch them do their tricks. I see it from the sides, from the back angles, and I still can't figure it out. So I don't want to know. Don't tell me. Don't show me how you make the sausage. I just want to be wowed and amazed and enjoy it. I mean, I still can't figure out, and they do it literally right in front of me. I cannot figure out how to do the quick change stuff.
Right.
I can't figure it out.
Oh, like with the clothes? Because I saw a clip the other day where a guy just was in a tuxedo. He lifted it up. He's in something totally different. I mean, I
want to learn that because I want to be able to do that.
I want to do that too.
Here I am. Wow.
Oh my gosh. So I saw something you said to Larry King a couple months ago. Is there a possibility of Lois and Clark? Because I mean, you're cool, but Terry Hatcher getting back on in that role, I think would be awesome.
I'd love to see it happen. Terry Hatcher was the greatest Lois Lane of all time. I think Christopher Reeve was the greatest Superman. That's my personal Superman. But I want to see her matched up with me, not with Chris Reeve, obviously, because he's passed. But I just think because we had the chemistry. I loved it, and I saw little clips from it last night. Something was on YouTube, and it brought me back there. And but I think the magic of the show really was tremendously in great degree because of Terry. She was just fantastic. And I would love to see where Lois and Clark are 30 years. 30 years.
It's been a while.
Gosh. 30 years later. I'd love to see where they are. Well, it's close to 30. We'll just call it 30. And I'd love to see where they are. I'd love to see where their relationship is. I'd love to see, and I see this, I'm a positive guy. I'm an eternal optimist. And that show had a lot of love and warmth and lightness to it. And I'd love to see them still experiencing those things, love and warmth and lightness, and being married and still love each other. And I'd love to see them have kids because both Terry and I have kids, and having children changes you to the core. And it's just something about you become vulnerable. I don't care who you are. And so Lois Lane was always out there putting herself at risk. But now if she's got kids and maybe she's the mayor, you can't do that as much.
Right.
If she had a couple Kryptonian kids, half Kryptonian kids, maybe something mixed up in her, maybe she gets a little bit of a superpower every now and again. There's a mother superpower and a father superpower for sure. You have you've heard stories of them lifting cars off their children or things like that. Well,
Absolutely.
That stuff would be fun to explore.
Right. That would be cool. So what do you have? What's on slate now, or what's in post-production? What do you got going on?
So much. Well, first of all of Hollywood is still pretty much shut down. So things are gearing up and ramping up. And so I'm having a lot of discussions about different shows and things going on. I have some Christmas stuff I'm going to be shooting, provided we're allowed to, in the very near future. But it's hard because we can't, the hoops that you have to jump through, especially for smaller films, having to have the COVID advisor and the things and all this, the costs start to run up real hard, and it's hurting a lot of small independent producers. So I've got a whole bunch of things in the hopper. We'll see what gets made in the near future. I'm hoping the economy opens up and things are allowed to go forth. But I have one in particular that I wrote and I'm producing and directing and I want to star in that I'm close to getting set up, and that would be a lot of fun. I think it's a great family movie, and it's a lot of fun, and I would like to make it.
Awesome, man. We're looking forward to that.
We're close.
And our family, we're huge movie fans. I mean, we just absolutely love it. So this has been killing us because literally every Friday, it's our
What's
big
new?
blackboard that we decorate is, our schedule of movies as they're premiering. And my son, just the
Yes.
last couple days, has started to send us trailers. They're releasing trailers, and I think a DC one, Flash, is coming out with Flashpoint. That's going to be released, or at least the trailer's coming out. So the excitement to get back into the theater and see some of that stuff from the other side is really, really exciting. But hey, I wanted to put up a question. We have this question.
False.
It deals with no, it deals with cancel
Sorry.
culture, and we see that nuts with the NFL. We've seen this with the NBA and all of this stuff. Here's a question from one of our moderators, Joe Heller.
Hey, Joe Heller here. Greetings and salutations from the left coast swamp called California. My question here for Deputy Cain is, you being the former college football stud that you were, do you believe that college football is going to attain the level of wokeness that the neutered football league has already today?
Boy, he put
So what
so
do you
much
think?
into that
In the
question,
American
didn't he?
way.
Right,
He just
exactly.
mixing and mashing and getting so much in there. No, I don't think that's going to happen in college football, and I don't think it should. I don't like to see it in my sports. I like to see politics and sports. The programs, say anything you want to off the field and away from the game. That's your business. That's your right as an American. But I don't want to see it on the court.
Right.
I don't like seeing it on the court. I don't want to see anything on the court, on the field, in the field of play. I just don't. I think that's not the spot for political messaging. I think it's a place we go to get away from that stuff. You can honor certain things and people and stuff like that, and certainly owners and stuff of organizations and even civil rights things like that. But I mean, even then, you start to creep into politics. So I'd like to keep politics away from my sports, on the field, on the pitch, on the on the court. I don't like seeing that. I don't think that college will come to that. I certainly hope not. I think it would be a big time negative if they did.
Right. Yeah, I completely agree. I was so happy the other day because Texas A&M put out their football schedule. So the SEC's got football, Big Ten, Pac-10, they're doing different things. But even I think half of the Big Ten schools are looking to try and do a home and home series so they can still get 10 games, still get some kind of season out of this, and put the politics aside. This is what's so awesome about, people going to Buffalo Wild Wings or going down to a bar and they're drinking, they're watching the game, and you don't know if they're Republican or Democrat. They're just
Don't care.
watching sports. You don't care. And on the IndyCar side, where I was, luckily it was a conservative group, but it was all about the racing, and we see on some of the broadcasts now that they're staying very light with that, unlike the NBA and the NFL. And I certainly hope it doesn't come into college football because that is the only thing I'm really looking forward to this fall.
I'll say what's one thing that's interesting to me is the idea of a 10-game schedule for a lot of the big schools. I played in the Ivy League at Princeton. We always had a 10-game schedule. That's all we were allowed to play. We also have no postseason. We have a little more rigorous academics than some of the other squads, so that's why they do that. I would love to see the Ivies be able to play into the playoffs and things like that. But a 10-game schedule for me is a full year. That's a full. So these other colleges are playing 14, 15-game schedules. I'm like, wow, that's almost a year and a half of playing. So good, bring it down to a 10-game schedule. But I miss college football. I miss the NFL preseason. I'm a football fanatic. I've already got 4 fantasy teams this year, and I haven't seen anybody in camp yet. So I'm really excited for sports to come back, but I'd like to see politics left off the field.
Right. So for college football, expand the playoffs past 4 teams or not?
Yeah. Cut down
it.
these 15, 16-game seasons.
Right.
Bring those numbers down and have teams, because that's a long season, man. That's an NFL season. So cut those down a little bit, and you shouldn't be having a couple games outside of your league and your division, whatever. But I mean, like Alabama shouldn't be playing Southwest Northeastern State. You know what I mean?
Right.
The Division I double. And come on, those games you shouldn't be having those games. And it's great for that other squad because they make so much money. It's wonderful. Have one of those games, but not 3.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's 2 or 3 that A&M has where it's basically these schools, and they'll get a benefit from it. They'll get on television or SEC
huge.
network, right? But it doesn't help the cause. It's not real football or a real matchup. So, all right, man. So, are you ready for the battle? You ready to throw
Bring it.
down? Because I think this
I
has
was
been
born
good.
for the battle. I don't have to change into anything. I'm ready.
All right. Okay. So here it is, folks. If in case you missed it, Dean and I are going to have, since I'm Batman Superman, or super fan over here, he's Superman, we're going to have a battle of dad jokes. 3 rounds. We'll see if we can make each other laugh. If someone laughs, the other guy gets a point. If no one laughs, it's up to the chat. Just vote Dean or BE to see whose joke was better. Okay, I'm in really dangerous territory here because I tend to laugh at everything, but I'm going to try and be strong because I think I'm better, and it's balanced out by my absolute hatred of losing. So this is really tough for me. So Dean, since you're the guest, why don't you start? Round 1.
Here's the question. Do I start off with my best ones or do I wait? Do I build
My
it up?
anchor-
I got to think strategy here.
Well, yeah, my anchor joke, my family knows this. My anchor joke is number 3. I'm bringing the big gun at the end.
Oh, we get 3 only.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Here we go.
What do sprinters eat before a competition?
What does
Nothing.
sprint-
They fast.
Oh, jeez. No, that's not laugh. That's a scoff. That's a scoff. All right. And and the chat and Charlotte, producer Charlotte, will be the judge. Okay. So you compare that one.
it was
fair.
laughed.
All right. Here we go. All right. Okay. You ready? Okay. What happens when you use the restroom in France? European.
Oh! I said it before you.
What?
Oh!
No!
I stole your punchline.
That's wrong. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Point goes to him.
my daughter says point goes to you. That's bogus right there. Okay. All right.
I love your daughter.
Yeah, this is not good.
I mean
Okay.
that in
All
a,
right.
I mean that in a, in a judge way.
Oh man. All right. So I'm gonna start this one off. Okay. This round.
Yeah,
2.
because you're behind
Here we
8
go.
right now, baby.
Oh man, this is not good. Okay. Why is Superman able to leap higher than tall buildings?
Because tall buildings can't leap.
Jeez. This is not right. Oh my gosh.
Ah!
All right, what was yours? What's
I'm a dad,
this is-
baby.
Yeah, I
That's
knew
a
this
dad.
was a bad
I know the
idea.
dad jokes.
I
That's
knew this was a
awesome.
bad idea.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
You're not
going
going to get number. All right. What's your number 2?
How many apples grow on a tree? All of them.
Gee. Now see.
We didn't like that.
Nothing.
There's nothing there.
Nothing.
All right.
You scoffed at me, in fact.
Right. I scoffed at you on that one. So what's if he guesses? Is that a win for?
Well, you don't win for sure.
Oh, I don't win. Charlotte says over there. So okay. All right. 2-zip. I can salvage it here. Go ahead. This is round 3. You can lead us off.
I get to start?
Yeah. You get to start.
Okay. My friend says to me, what rhymes with orange? I said,
Nothing.
no, it doesn't.
No.
Ah!
No.
Crap!
No. That
You
was
shit!
dumb. That was just dumb. I was
That's
just.
the whole point.
I was just.
The whole
All right.
point. It's supposed to be dumb.
Oh my gosh. All right. Here we go. This one I can still do better. You could laugh harder probably.
Give him room to
All right. Yeah. Here we go. How do dinosaurs? This is my go-to. This is the anchor joke. How do dinosaurs pay their bills? With Tyrannosaurus checks. That's good stuff. You know that one was good. I love that.
That's all right. That's all right.
Who's it is?
dinner is deep.
All right. So I guess official ruling from producer Charlotte is Dean 2-1, and from the chat. The chat's not even on my side, man. All right.
Everyone says 4-1 Dean.
4-1.
Yes.
There was only 3 jokes. How is that even possible?
I got more.
Oh my
I got
gosh.
more. What time is
All
it when you
right.
have to go to the dentist?
That is
What time is it when you have to go to the dentist?
What time is it?
When you have to go to the dentist.
When you
Oh,
have to go
I-
to the dentist? 2:30.
2:30. Yeah, see?
I got it
know
out.
that. I got that.
All right, you knew that one. All right, good.
All right, man.
That one didn't count.
So,
That was extra.
oh my gosh, that was awesome, Dean. Thanks so much. Hey, come back on. We'd love to have you on again. I think this was a fun time. Always talk some politics. We haven't even gotten to, Fox and Friends and other stuff, but, enjoy the weekend and thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, Bobby. Thanks for having me on. Say hi to your daughter in there somewhere, wherever she is. Appreciate all the producing, and keep spreading a very positive message, my friend.
All right, we'll do. We'll see you soon, Dean.
Cheers.
All right, folks. Oh my gosh, he's still talking. Oh, folks. All right. Thanks for so much for tuning in. I really appreciate this. I've got a text from our moderators. We had a great day of support. I really appreciate it. Let me go down these names. We have Boomer. We've got Rose, Joe, Tiffany S., Rochelle, Snurdy, LD Murray. Thanks so much for the super chat, guys. I really appreciate that. I don't appreciate the way you guys voted on this because clearly I'm funnier. My jokes made more sense, and he still wins. 4-1 on 3 rounds of jokes. That one I don't even understand, but I really... Flood, thanks so much. I'm able to look at the chat now. Wow, that is awesome. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it, folks. Any questions before? Yes, sorry. Now you guys are apologizing after he leaves thinking he's big and bad. That was just not cool, but I want you guys to enjoy the weekend. And just remember, we will be back on Monday with a 13-minute news hour, regular time, regular spot, talking about this news. And next week, we're leading into the Republican National Convention. So there's going to be a lot to talk about. And we need to get that conservative voice out because the media is not going to portray things the way we need to. They're going to put their own spin on it. We need to put our message out there so people can get out and go vote in person for President Trump. So, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. And before you go, please subscribe. And when you do, please hit that bell so you'll be notified. And we'll see you next time. I'm Bobby Eberle. This is a Saturday live stream. Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.